Hello everyone. This is part one of a few videos I'm going to make just to give some basic tutorials on Army Men Strike. My first one I'm going to start with is farming. You guys can probably see an outline I've created, and the way I've designed it is really main topics. So number one is farming, and I want to really go into how officers, research, building, command bonus, and Air Force affects your ability to farm. First and foremost, you should be farming so you can grow those resources and gather those resources so that you can build troops, grow buildings, research, things like that. So I'll start with officers first. I'm going to click here into officers to show you your basic officer gallery. You can see all the officers that you have. Going to the gallery, those are all the officers available in the game. The ones that that you typically have, or maybe have some fragments for. So, talking about how your officers affect your farming, I think of farming in two different ways. You either gather or you're growing resources. So you have your resource tiles, which most of you go in and you click on and you gather resources. If you click this little button right here to the center of my screen, that really shows you what your production rates are. And if you drill down deeper, for example, metal production, it'll show you exactly how much you're producing. So scrolling up, it shows each resource plot, how much it's producing. So you can see the number, and then you could see plus, like this one on the top, level 37. That means I've done a few constructions on it. Typically it gets 319, but it adds 6608. Now, where I'm getting those buffs for, you can look up top, and it shows from the command bonus from my Air Force is helping, my VIP level. It shows the ability resource bonus, which I wanna say is your officers. That's where you're getting from your officer. From your technology, you have that, and then you also have other resource bonuses, which I believe are from things like your rebuild, stuff like that. So I'm going to drill down into some of these, but this is basically, so you can tap on any of these and see how much you're getting for all your different resource items. So that's really your growing. So that's one way that we're using your officers. Your officers can buff these growth buildings, but your officers can also they can buff your output, but they can also buff how quick you can build these, and they can also help reduce the amount of RSS necessary to build. And the way you affect that with your officers is you go into your assignment center here, and then you go into assign. And typically, you're going to get those buffs for resources from the officers that you have assigned in the logistics department. Now, these buffs don't stack. If they have the same exact name, it's going to go with the buff that has the highest amount. So as you see here, you can click on the officers. From here, you can do a long hold and see what is economist. Let me go and see what economist is, and it tells you. So you have 12 skill effects to get the maximum, and that tells you exactly what you're getting from that economist. So some of these you may not understand what it is, and you can just open up the officers and look for the name of that buff. And you look on the bottom here, it says officer talent. And really what that is, all the officers I've assigned there that are 5-star, I've chosen logistics master as the skill, and then it takes one full officer to raise that skill. And in a different tutorial, I'll really show you how to do that. But this is also how your officers are helping your farming. Finally, if you go out into the battlefield view, you have all the resource plots. Some of the officers are meant to help you gather things quicker. So typically for me, I'm going to be gathering a lot of metal and a lot of battery. So let me just do a quick search here for metal. So I found a metal plot. I'm going to click on that, gather. I'm going to remove this airplane because I may want that for fighting. I'm going to remove most of these officers because I have marching queue that's big enough that I don't need a lot of officers. So I'm going to use Demeter, because when you look at her, she's given me 20%, 27% electricity and metal gathering speed buff. I don't have her at a high level, but it's better than nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I hit quick select, it'll give me the exact amount of troops needed. Right now we're not at war. I'm not worried about someone taking my tiles, so I'm going to go ahead and deploy that. So, but now if you look into the depot and look into details and see, here's what I have here. So I've got a 12 rank effect bull and a 12 rank effect Demeter to give me, very good gathering speed. So when you look at the basic gathering speed up top is 22,680 per hour, and I've added 200,000 on top of that. So I'm gathering pretty quickly from the electric plant, and I'm going to only do that since Demeter buffs the metal and the electricity. I'm only going to send her whenever we have metal and electricity. If we were only doing plastic, then I wouldn't send her. I would send her to an electric or battery or a metal resource plot. So that's how your officers help your farming. Research, that's pretty self-explanatory. You go to your research, and then you have these development. Once you start getting into resources down here, it kind of shows you can increase production on your resource plots, and then some of them really go into gathering speed. So if you see the bottom here, bottom two, metal recycling, that's increased metal gathering speed. So that's how your research, or your tech as we call it, helps your farming. So it helps you to gather quicker, and it helps you to develop quicker. All right, moving on to building for farming. I think we've talked a little bit about that. That's really just ensuring your resource plots are up to the level equal to your headquarters. Now, I'm not in a hurry to rebuild every single one of these, because that would be extremely expensive. But it would help me to develop resources just amazingly fast. But I'm just not in a hurry to spend the few $1,000s it would take to rebuild every single one of my resource plots. So that's building. Moving on to command bonus. This is one that's very interesting, and I'll just give you kind of a brief overview of this. When you click on this, and I click on quartermaster, and then I'm going to hit this question mark in the middle, and it shows you the officers that you want to be able to get the basic buffs, and where it says appoint the specific officers to activate more buffs. So if you want those, then you click that question mark, and then you make sure you have those officers assigned. And then on the right, you see it says 8 out of 5. To get this plastic production buff, I need to have at least 5 stars. Now I have Chris and Bull at least 4 stars each, so that gives me 8 stars, so I can get that buff. Now you see the 197%. That typically starts at a lower level, and you see at the bottom I'm at max level because I've maxed that out using feet, which we'll cover in another tutorial. That helps that go up. But another thing that helps it is you'll see Chris and Bull right now are at 40. Those are things I need to start raising those levels using training dummies, or EXP, experience points. Once I raise those, that buff that's 197% will continue to go up. So that's another way that we use command. And you can see operator has some. It's paint production, resource gathering speed. Unit load, you see in the middle there, is actually how much one of your troop units can carry. So typically your artillery can carry the most, meaning it takes less artillery to gather. Let's say if you were getting a 95,000 metal plot, it may take you, if your unit load is high, it could take 10,000 artillery. Also, some of your officers can have effect on raising your unit load. So officers can affect that. Research can affect the unit load. There's a few things, and the unit load is good to have because, like I said, you can carry more resources with less units out there. So in case you leave them out there during deep and they get destroyed, you're not sending 200,000 commandos out to pick up resources when you didn't need to. Okay, so moving on to Air Force. Air Force can do this in a couple of ways. Because you have garrison zones. Right now, I have the F-117 garrisoned in the development zone, so that's my farming plan essentially. So everything about this F-117, the gears and the research on it, go towards my farming. So that's where I'm getting buffs from my Air Force on this. So if I click on it, you can see the Air Force attributes. I'm gonna click that bottom left, paint production. A lot of these things, that's how your Air Force is affecting that. Also, you see these gears. You want to get gears on your development plane that are geared not towards fighting, but are geared towards development. And that could be development, could be researching tech, building troops. It could be gathering speed, gathering bonuses, things like that, and production. So just to click one of these gears. So right now, and I'll cover Air Force gears later and show you what all the gold and the blue at the bottom and how to enhance and appraise. But right now, this one offers me commando training speed increase, but it also offers an all resource production of 30%. So everything that I'm producing in my resource plots and buildings is buffed 30%. So you'll see in the bottom, I've appraised those, and I've got some gold attributes, so I get even more from those. So this is a good gear set, because if you get all 6 pieces of gear, you get a lot of different buffs here. So you want to try to get good gathering gear, good development gear for your development plan. So that's how development or farming is affected by your Air Force. I'm going to go ahead and figure out how to stop this video, and we'll go on to the next one.